I sat on the porch swing, barefoot, a glass of red wine cradled in my hands. The sun had just started to dip behind the trees, casting golden streaks across our backyard. The warm air buzzed with the sound of crickets, a faint breeze rustling the leaves. Marcus was at the grill, flipping burgers like he always did on Friday nights. He wore that ridiculous apron with "Grillmaster" printed across the front, a gag gift from our first year together, now faded from countless washes. "Overcooking it again?" I teased, tilting my glass playfully. "Please," he said with a smirk, holding up a perfectly charred patty for inspection. "When have I ever overcooked anything?" I laughed, a genuine sound that mixed with the hum of the evening. "Last weekend, and the weekend before that." He turned, spatula in hand, pretending to look offended. "You're lucky you're cute." It was a ritual of overhears, our own little end-of-week celebration. We'd sit out here, talking about everything and nothing, the smoke from the grill mingling with the smell of fresh-cut grass. Tonight felt no different, at least on the surface. He slid a plate in front of me, complete with extra pickles, just how I liked it. "Your Majesty," he said with an exaggerated bow. I smiled, shaking my head. These were the moments that made everything worth it. The moments when it felt like it was just us against the world. A couple of weeks later, I came home to find her sitting on our couch, legs tucked beneath her, laughing at something Marcus had said. Claire. Marcus's childhood best friend, who until recently had been little more than a name from his past. "Evelyn," she said, standing up and flashing me a wide smile. "I've heard so much about you." Her dark hair fell in soft waves around her face, and she had this effortless way of leaning in when she talked, as if the person she spoke to were the center of her universe. Marcus's face lit up in a way I hadn't seen in years, not since before late nights at the office and endless deadlines had drained his energy. "She's back in town," he explained, gesturing at Claire with the easy familiarity of someone who had shared a lifetime of memories with her. "Thought we'd catch up." My smile came naturally as I shook her hand, though something in me tightened. "It's so great to finally meet you. Marcus has told me so much about you." Claire's laugh was light and musical, filling the room like a song that overstayed its welcome. Claire slipped into our lives like she'd never left Marcus's. She'd show up unannounced, barefoot and carrying a bottle of wine, or drag Marcus out for impromptu adventures. Hiking, trivia nights, even weekends away for old times' sake. At first, I liked her. She seemed to be bringing back an excited, youthful Marcus I hadn't seen in years. Marcus and I had a strong marriage, didn't we? We built this life together, one small moment at a time, like the time he spent hours building a bookshelf for my ever-growing book collection, or how he'd sing off-key to make me laugh when I was stressed. But as the weeks went on, I started noticing the little things. Marcus would cancel plans at the last minute because Claire needed his help with something. Our quiet evenings turned into group outings, always at her suggestion. And then there were the shared glances, the inside jokes I wasn't a part of. One night, as we lay in bed, I tried to bring it up. "She's around a lot lately," I said, keeping my tone light, though my fingers gripped the edge of the blanket tightly. Marcus didn't even look up from his phone. "She's been through a lot, I'm just trying to be there for her." I wanted to say more, to tell him how I felt like I was slowly being pushed out of my own life, but the words caught in my throat. The breaking point came late one night when I overheard them talking in the living room. "I don't know how you've put up with her this long," Claire said, her voice low but sharp. "She's so predictable, always trying to be the perfect wife, like she's in some movie or something." "She doesn't get me the way you do," Marcus replied, his words hitting me like a punch to the gut. I stood frozen in the hallway, my hands trembling. I wanted to burst into the room to demand answers, but I knew they'd just spin it into something harmless. Instead, I turned quietly and walked back to the bedroom, my mind racing. That was the moment I decided I wouldn't be the one left in the dark. For the next few weeks, I let things play out. Marcus and Claire were so wrapped up in their little world, they didn't even notice the change in me. I stopped trying to argue or fight for his attention. Instead, I became the picture of patience and understanding, a supportive wife who didn't seem threatened by her husband's best friend. But while they laughed and reminisced, I watched. I noticed Claire's quirks, how she needed to be the center of attention, her overconfidence masking a fragile ego. She thrived on Marcus's admiration, feeding off every little compliment he threw her way. I also noticed Marcus's growing carelessness. He stopped hiding the fact that he checked his phone constantly when he was with me, and he'd slip out of the room to take calls with Claire. They thought they had the upper hand. They thought I didn't see what was right in front of me. I started with Claire, telling myself that understanding her might make the situation more bearable. It wasn't hard to worm my way into her good graces. I asked her about her childhood adventures with Marcus, feigning genuine curiosity. She'd light up as she shared stories of pranks they'd pulled or the secret treehouse they'd built one summer. Complimenting her came naturally, she thrived on validation. I even sought her advice on trivial matters, a recipe, a book recommendation, each exchange building a bridge of trust she didn't realize I'd later use against her. One evening, over drinks on the patio, I let out a deep sigh just as she was refilling her glass. "Is everything okay?" she asked, her tone sugary sweet, though her eyes betrayed her curiosity. "It's probably nothing," I said, biting my lip. "But Marcus has been so distracted lately, I feel like I don't know where I stand anymore." Claire's eyes lit up for the briefest moment before she masked it with a sympathetic smile. "Oh, Evelyn, I'm sure it's just stress, you know how men are." She was predictable, almost painfully so. By the time the company holiday party rolled around, the stage was perfectly set. I made sure Claire was invited, convincing Marcus that it was only right to include her. "You two are such good friends," I said with a smile. "She'll have fun." At the party I kept my distance, letting Marcus and Claire gravitate toward each other. I watched as they laughed in the corner, completely unaware of what was about to happen. When the room was buzzing with conversation, I accidentally left my phone on a table, unlocked, with a fake message thread open on the screen. I'd carefully crafted a conversation between Marcus and another woman, one that implied an affair far more physical than whatever he had with Claire. I made sure Claire saw it. She read the messages, her face paling, and stormed over to Marcus. "You're unbelievable," she hissed, loud enough for half the room to hear. Marcus blinked, confused. "What are you talking about?" "You've been playing me this whole time," Claire shouted, her voice rising. "You've been seeing someone else behind both our backs." The room fell silent as everyone turned to watch the scene unfold. Marcus stammered, trying to explain, but Claire wouldn't let him get a word in. I stood back, letting the chaos play out, sipping my champagne. By the time we got home, Marcus was frantic. "She's crazy," he said, pacing the living room. "I don't even know what she's talking about." I shrugged, setting my clutch down on the counter. "I don't know, Marcus. Maybe she knows you better than I do." He froze, his face falling. "What's that supposed to mean?" he asked. "It means I'm done," I said, my voice calm. "I've been done for a while, but tonight just made it clear." I filed for divorce the next morning. I took half of everything, our savings, the house, even the dog Marcus had insisted we adopt. Claire, humiliated and ostracized, disappeared from our lives for good. And me? I started over. Sometimes people like Claire and Marcus think they're untouchable, that they can take without consequences. But they forget one simple truth: a storm is always quiet before it hits. And when it does, there's nothing left standing. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be alerted to future videos, be sure to hit the bell icon below. I post every day at 12 p.m. CST.